Hey everybody, and welcome back to Beauty by Violett. And today I'm going to show you how I typically do an airbrush trial. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because when I first started out, I was totally clueless, and believe me, I had a lot of trials that should have been an hour and a half, but they took 3 hours. Now, if somebody comes in, what I usually do is I ask them first if they have a photo, and maybe 9 times out of 10, they don't have an idea of exactly what they want. So this is what this video tutorial will help you accomplish, is their desired look. Because with airbrush, what's so complicated is that we can work darker, but we can't work lighter. So once that makeup hits their skin, it dries on contact. There's no blending, there's no lightening it up. And so you're going to have to start over if you don't work in, certain steps. So what this video will show you is how to do a, typical, can't lose makeup trial step by step. Now don't forget that you want to have a phase chart, because you want to document everything that you've done step by step and at what point it was dark enough for that. So if you want to see how to do a bridal airbrush trial, just keep watching. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is apply the Dinair Shine Free Solution. And typically what I do is go over the bride's face with a toner just to remove any excess oil. Because if you do have any oil on their face yet, the product's gonna crease and move around. So you wanna make sure that their face is free of everything. So if they have any eye makeup on from the night before, that happens all the time, make sure you take that off. Make sure you then use a toner to go over everything, remove everything off of their face. And then just apply the Shine Free Solution. Don't try to apply a primer that isn't meant for airbrush, because the more products that you put on, the more the makeup is going to move around. And I have actually had clients where I've specifically called Dinair to ask them, I put on the Laura Mercier Oil-Free Primer or the HD Foundation for Makeup Forever, and something went wrong. So if it's not meant for airbrush, don't put it on underneath the airbrush foundation. So once you have the Shine Free on, just let that sit for like 5 minutes. Just maybe match their foundation or something while it's set. Next thing you want to do, whether your bride is getting married during the summer or whenever it happens to be, they're probably going to perspire, more during the summer or if it's outside. But the next thing you want to do is apply some of the Prophase No Sweat, which you can get through Dinair also. And I think it's best if you put it right in your airbrush and apply it. And where you want to apply it is around the hairline, and then underneath the nose and the chin, where people perspire the most. And this product does work. We actually used it on one of the Vikings right in the training camp, and it did keep him from perspiring during his commercial in 98-degree heat. Now we're going to start out with the foundation. Do make sure that you're writing everything down on your face chart, because you want to remember exactly what products and what mixtures you used. First thing I'm going to do for my foundation is I'm going to use bronze. And I am really tan and almost a little red, because I was out at the lake with some friends today. So I'm going to use bronze. Of course, with all brides, you do want to make sure that you're using the paramedical foundation, because this is going to be waterproof. And if you're guaranteeing your work, then that's really important that you're using the paramedical foundation. So I'm just going to start out just making a couple passes over my face, and just go right over the eyes too. Now after you've made a couple passes, you need to go in and take care of any imperfections. And to do that, you need to get kind of in close. So just want to get in kind of close and just rock your lever gently to cover up those imperfections. And then also look at, any redness. I have some redness on my nose, so I'm going to target that area with a little extra foundation. And on my cheeks. underneath the eye area, because people are going to tend to squinch up their face a little when the airbrush hits by their eyes. You're just going to have to kind of stretch out the under eye area like this and go in to get that area. Now, after you've done this, you know, you're always going to have a mirror with you, so you're going to give the client the mirror and you're going to ask them, do you want more coverage? Some people like a light coverage, you know, maybe they're partial to their freckles, and some people like a really full coverage. So ask them if they want more. Typically, probably 90% of them are going to say they want more, so make another pass. So you just want to continue those steps until they say that they like the coverage, and it just kind of depends on the person. Sometimes you'll be going on for what seems like forever, especially with paramedical, because it's quite a bit thinner. Now if you're using paramedical, then you're going to of course want to use some alcohol to clean out your airbrush at that point. Now we're going to move on to the brows. So typically what I do with the brows is if somebody is brunette, I will use the light smoke. If they are fair, I will use the blonde. Now if they have very dark brows, you can mix some of the light smoke with the jet black. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the light smoke for my brows. So just kind of brush through their brows to start out with. And on most people you're going to have to move the brow stencil. They're not always going to match up, and they probably shouldn't. So you're going to have to move it a bit. Now when you get done with just one brow, then hand them the mirror again and have them check that. If you do get the brows too dark, it's not that big of a deal. Just brush through the brow to lighten it up a little. Okay, so we're going to move on to the eyes next. Now, really important with everything is that you're working lighter to darker, because if you go too dark, you pretty much have to start over. So what we're going to do is you're always going to start out really light on the eyes. Start out with like what you would consider like Princess Bride, and then work darker to more dramatic. And let them know that that's why you're doing this, is you're going in steps, because you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So the first color I'm going to use is Opal White. Now this is a really popular one. I use this on most brides. So I'm just going to put a couple drops in it. And I'm just going to apply that to the inner part of the eye, going about halfway over. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some of the pink blossom with the light mauve. I'm using 2 drops of the light mauve to 1 drop of the pink blossom. What I'm going to do is apply that to the second half of the lid and a little bit up into the crease. So at this point, what you'd want to do is you'd want to have the mirror again and ask them if they want it darker than that. And only about 30% of people are going to say that that's good. Now if they say that they want it darker than that, what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the light bronze. Just going to apply a couple drops of that. And what you're going to do is you're going to deepen the outer corner with this. So just apply this to the outer corner and also in the crease. And then hand them the mirror again and ask them if they want it darker. Now if they do want it darker, and typically probably about 80% of people will say, no, that's good at this point. But if they do want it darker, then leave that light bronze in your cup, what you have left over, and add some dark brown, just 1 drop. So what we're going to do next then is we're going to deepen the outer corner and the crease just a little bit more. Okay, so at this point, again, hand them the mirror, ask them if they want to go darker. Pretty much 98% of everybody is going to say that this is dark enough because we are talking bridal and they're not thinking really, really dramatic. So if they do want to go darker, then add just a drop of black to your mixture that you already have in your cup. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here because I really have had maybe 2 people that want to go darker than this. So next we're going to move on to the liner, and same rules apply. You can work darker, but you don't want to work lighter because you can't really fix anything with airbrush. So what I typically do is I start out using a shadow liner, and the color that I typically use is Brun from MAC, which is a brownish, chocolatey color. We're going to use a 208 brush, which is a really tiny angled eyeliner brush. And you do want to have a tissue because you want to protect your work. So just take the tissue and lay it underneath the eye, like this. Now you're just going to start pressing the shadow in close to the lashes. And I typically go all the way across with this. So again, at this point, you want to hand them the mirror and ask them if they like the liner or if they want it dark. Shadows are going to be softer and less dramatic. So we're going to work one shade darker, and we're going to use Carbon from MAC and the same angle liner brush. Then again, hand them the mirror and ask them if it's dark enough. Now, if they do want it more dramatic than that, then your next step would be to move on to a black gel eyeliner. But I'm going to stop here just for the video. Now, on the lower lash line, you're going to do kind of the same thing. You're going to start out with Brun, and what you're going to do is just start at the outer corner and work inward. And you're going to just want to stop about halfway in, and then just wipe off your brush and blend it inward so that it fades nicely, and then have them look at that and see if it's dark enough. In most cases it will be, and you can, they might say to bring the color all the way in, and that's fine too, or you can move on to the black. I'm just going to leave it as is for the video. Now, if you put the gel eyeliner on and it's still not dramatic enough for them, and you pulled it all the way into the inner corner, your next step would be to put some of that in the waterline. Typically, I don't have that happen very often, just because bridal, traditionally, people don't want it really, really dramatic. So what I typically do next is apply a little bit of liner in the waterline, but what I do is use a flesh colored pencil for that. So the one that I like to use is the Stila Kajal eyeliner in Topaz, and this is just going to really open up their eyes, make their eyes look a lot bigger. So you just want to run that in the waterline. And this also helps if they've been out the night before and their eyes are a little red, or if they haven't gotten any sleep. So next you're going to curl their lashes, and what I typically do is ask them, does that feel okay? Because you don't want to pinch anything before I press down about 5 times, tilt it upward, and press it another 5 times. This is going to really curl the lashes. Now, of course, then you want to use a waterproof mascara, always, for bridal. And I'm just going to use the Aqua Smoky Lash from Makeup Forever. next would be applying lashes. If the bride is getting lashes, and you know, with our packages, I guess we offer complimentary lashes, so they typically do. I don't go overboard with the lashes I have in my kit. I have 3 kinds. I have the demi wispies, which I prefer over every other kind for bridal, I guess, because they're dramatic, but they're very natural looking. I also have the babies, and these would be for people that they've never worn lashes before, they're unsure. And then I also have a pair of the ends that I put on too, and these are just the Ardell 301s. What I'm going to do is apply a pair of the Ardell Demi Wispies.